This was a very, very innovative machine. It worked, it did reduce the loads, but we found that the engineering of the compliance, the flexibility, wasn't so cheap. And we could see that an awful lot of work would have to be done to cheapen that machine and make it competitive. One thing that characterised that whole mid-90s period was that the UK market didn't really develop. Every time there was a wind farm application, it would be called in for public inquiry. That would cost £250,000 and delay you 2 years. You couldn't survive in a regime where the home market was so sporadic. And so this is really the thing that led to WEG actually folding up and being sold in 1998 to a company who were then taken over by Vestas.
The fact that we are not manufacturing turbines other than to someone else's design in the United Kingdom is a sad indictment of lack of foresight. The rug was pulled out from underneath the UK potential, so to speak, and that's where we stand today without a manufacturer.
So in the 90s, at the point at which we had the MS2s and then moved into the MS3s, we had a product that really was leading the world, and with the right backing and the right marketplace, could have done very well indeed.
If we look back to see what sort of support the Germans were getting in Germany, the Danes were getting in Denmark, they had a protected domestic market, which we never had. This was in the height of Mrs. Thatcher's worship of the market. And the deal was, well, this is a market, go buy the cheapest turbines. If the Brits can't do it, we'll buy these Danish ones or German ones. And that's exactly what happened.
If one asks the question, why isn't WEG there now? You know, why didn't it make it? Which was what we would have all liked. Would have liked to see WEG being one of the major wind turbine manufacturers in the world. I think the single biggest lesson is the difficulty of being in a market where you're developing a new technology at the same time as trying to develop a market which didn't exist. You had no home market at all for wind turbines.
There was an accident on Chemis in Wales, just at the very crucial moment of bidding. So people were just about to put in their bids to the NFFO, which was a competitive process. And I guess, understandably, lost heart. You know, at that moment, they said, "Well, do we really want to do this with this turbine, which seems to be having problems?" I mean, all turbines have problems, and I think the timing of this particular problem was just very, very unfortunate. So it was a most unfortunate coalescence of those two things, or coincidence of those two things. One, the accident, and secondly, the dogma of the market. And I think if either of those two things had been missing, maybe we would have gone on much more successfully. Then there was the two-bladedness, I think, which was a problem. So I think it's now changed if you look at very big turbines, but small to medium-sized turbines do appear to jerk as they go around. If they're two-bladed, they appear to stop as they pass the tower. And so quite a lot of people found that very disturbing.
I think the biggest single mistake we made with hindsight was persuading ourselves that we had to do something rather different from the Danes, and we embarked upon this two-bladed teetered hub, fairly exotic machine at that stage of technology.
If they'd been three-bladed, if they kept on actually with the MS2, maybe that would have been more successful.
The legacy we're left with, not only do we have 100 engineers here on the island as part of a portfolio of over 1,000 engineers worldwide, but we've also got 600 guys and girls making blades, and we're capable of making 1,500 blades a year. That's somewhere around 800 megawatts of capacity per year, and I think that's quite something.
One of our legacies was creating the initial body of expertise in this country. It didn't exist before we started, and many of those that we trained at the time, as I've already said, Garrett and Sand amongst them, and John Armstrong and others, are still there, sometimes running businesses and training more people. So they created a larger and larger core of expertise in this country.
It's sad not to be able to say, well, here is some huge factory and it's employing 10,000 people. That would be a much better tribute to pay to the early efforts. But those people still are active, and there definitely is a legacy, albeit rather an ephemeral one.
None of this could be here, no one would be here in the wind business if it wasn't for the fact that what they kept on doing, our Danish parents, first Negmicon and now Vestas, is investing in a competence that was started under WEG. And in the growing industry, the way we've been growing, competence is so hard to come by that when they saw a small cluster of excellence here, they've kept on investing, and they continue to do so.
It is a great regret for me, apart from for myself, that the efforts and dedication of all those people that did not result in the success which really they deserved.